All right, in three, two, one. Welcome back to the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. So glad to have you along wherever you get your pods. I think that's what the kids say. Pods. I don't
Pods
think they
sounds
use
about right.
podcast, too long of a word. I think they just
That's so
pods.
that's so sus.
Yeah.
It's
It,
hard work to
it
say
is
the
hard work. I mean, podcast.
Words are hard.
Yeah. We're on
Words
the
are
pod.
hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're on the
Anyway,
pod.
Brad Lowers, Isaiah Freeman, Keaton Homer along with you. So glad to have you along wherever you like and subscribe, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever platform you get AST on. We're
AT.
glad you're here. Yeah.
I think
We got,
we're always talking like and subscribe. And
yeah.
again, I don't know exactly what that means, but I think like one week you should promote it, and then we'll see how well that.
Okay.
And then one week I'll promote,
Can
and
we
then
can we keep track of that, Isaiah? I know you're the analytics guy.
I mean,
Like
yeah, I guess we could.
by
Yeah,
episode. All right.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
we
what
could.
happens? Isaiah says he won.
Well,
How do I?
that's what's going to happen. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
tracking
Yeah.
it. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Right.
he
I
doesn't
win.
Yeah,
cheat.
I win. I
I
mean,
win. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
whatever. Okay. Yeah, you want me to keep
we can
track of
play
all the
that. We can
stats?
play
Yeah.
this game if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's called
I'm
I
good with
Win.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called. Thank you, Keaton. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming up with the name. It's called I
Yeah.
Win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Win,
there you go.
win.
Wasn't that like a line in Big Daddy or something like that? When the kid's playing cards or whatever, and Adam Sandler's like, why do you win all the time? Like, well, why do you win? And the kid goes, it's called I win. Like it's just the same. This should be the
I
same
win.
set of
What?
rules for everybody. Like,
Duh.
yeah. Anyway. It's the few days before Halloween. You guys got your costumes ready here? Maybe? No?
I
No
don't have
costume?
any costumes.
Nothing?
No,
Okay.
I haven't worn a costume for Halloween in like 40 years, maybe.
That was going to be my second
Yeah.
question.
Yeah,
Well,
long time, long time.
he's still pretty scary.
Yeah, I don't
No
need a
costume
costume. I
needed.
don't need a costume. Yeah,
Yeah.
People
no
don't knock.
costume needed.
Isaiah, does anybody still knock on your door?
No,
No.
no,
No.
nobody's knocking on the door.
So
No, but
at my son's house, the next door neighbor is just got amazing stuff, huge skeletons, ghosts, this, that, scream. And so I look at his garage and he's got like a 12-inch skeleton. You know, he's not really matching the neighbors.
you got to put some more effort into that. We got to get some
Yeah.
more decorations there. You
Not
know?
even trying.
Yeah. I know.
Man,
I don't know. You could be like the my dad's got a coworker. They spend over like $3,000 on Halloween decorations.
oh,
Like
that's
it's
ridiculous.
insane. It's insane. He was
That's ridiculous.
like,
Yeah,
I'm like, whoa. They just like love
yeah,
Halloween. Like,
That's
okay.
don't.
money.
Yeah, that'll never
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Crazy. Crazy. He said they have 120 pounds of candy.
Oh
120
my
pounds.
goodness gracious. 120 pounds?
I'm like,
How
what are
many
you gonna
people
do with
show
that?
up?
I don't know. That's why I was like, what in the world's going on?
I
Like,
don't
Look,
think we don't get anybody that trick or treats in our neighborhood.
yeah.
I'm telling you, the kids in this neighborhood, they don't even go outside during the summer when it's sunny. My kid's the only one that's out riding her bike around, walking around, and wondering where all the kids are. And I know they're around this neighborhood, but they never come out. They're never coming out during Halloween. They don't come out
That's
in the
wild.
summer. I
Yeah.
mean, it's unreal. I don't get it. I'm not. I mean, I
I,
know I can be scary, but I'm not that scary.
yeah. Yeah. Um, well, so Friday night I got the volleyball game for UAA. We'll talk about that, coming up. It'll be a fun time at the volleyball game. People, you can email suggestions of maybe costume ideas that I can wear during the broadcast,
Ah, there you
and
go.
see what we can pull off.
I like
But
that.
so we'll talk more about UAA, UAF on Friday night a little bit later in the show. Obviously, the big thing to recap is high school state football finally in the books. The state championship game for Division One wrapping up this past week on Friday out at Colony between Bartlett and South, and then we'll also talk about nine man football for a little bit as well because we didn't get a chance to really talk about the nine-man state football championship and the
Nope.
student wrestlers development program going undefeated and winning the nine-man state football title as well. Mentioned UAA volleyball, Anchorage Wolverines going on the road as well. And then UAA basketball, believe it or not, starting the regular season this Saturday and Sunday as well. So a lot of stuff going on into October, going into November. Brad, you and I were out at the state football championships, Division One, between South and Bartlett. And before the game, before we even went on air, we were kind of thinking, all right, this probably going to be a low-scoring game going into it. And it kind of turned out to be the opposite, especially in the second half.
Yeah, and we thought too that a low-scoring game would favor Bartlett, who had
Yeah.
an defense. So much so that they'd only given up 30 points in their 4 home games, and they gave up more than that in the championship game. And you got to give South a lot of props because it was really a toss-up, as the season wore on, and they were kind of a dark horse. They were in the mix, but people weren't necessarily talking about them. And in a post-game interview, I was talking to Coach Lewis, and he mentioned that. He mentioned that people kind of forgot about him, and then the other thing was just bringing South back. They won their share of championships, but they really hadn't challenged in recent years. And he was really gratified that this team was able to, go all the way.
Yeah, their fifth state title. It's the fourth one that John Lewis has won. It's the second stint for John Lewis there at South. You got to remember that Walter Harmon was there for a little while in the midterm. I think he was like four years. I think Walt was the head coach at South somewhere in that time span, but he won a state title back in 2019 for South. But John Lewis been a part of that program for many, many years. I think this is his 18th overall season at South, and he's got 4 of the 5 state titles. And I know, Brad, you and I were really, really impressed with a couple of their running backs, Austin French and also Ethan Yarrington. Those guys had really, really big games, and anytime they needed a big play, it was one of those 2 guys making it happen. It seemed like.
Well, I tried to go to a game every weekend, and I saw South in their first game, but there's a lot of times games at the same time. I really hadn't seen them that much. I saw them against West in the semis, but that's a slew of running backs they have, and if one doesn't get you, the other one does. And of course, we saw it in the first half, a low-scoring first half, but a big play on a punt return by French where, hey, it's tough enough to score on the Bartlett defense, but if you get one off of special teams, that gives you a little momentum. Only 1 touchdown in the first half, but after a while, it was just open up the floodgates.
Yeah, that punt return, 61 yards by Austin French. It's the second longest punt return in a state championship game for a touchdown. The longest punt return for a touchdown, 65 yarders by Jamal Hale from Bartlett back in 2009 when Bartlett won the title against the GNAC Mustangs back in 2009. So, yeah, I think you're right. That was not necessarily a turning point, but that was a huge kind of early shift in the first half, it seemed like, because Bartlett wasn't doing too much offensively at that point, and neither was South for that matter. They had moved the ball a little bit, but hadn't really threatened to score, and then they forced that punt and scored on the punt return for the touchdown, and that was the only touchdown in the first half. I mean, it was 10-3 going into halftime. Each team picking up a field goal in the second quarter. Zach Buss had a 19-yard field goal, and then Juan Lorajando had a 29-yard field goal to make it 10-3. But second half, it was all Ethan Yarrington as he scores 3 touchdowns in the second half. South puts up 4 more touchdowns. I feel like South scored more points in the second half than Bartlett had let up all season long in any game. I think.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I think that slew of running backs, they just wore them down, and they didn't have to rely on 1 running back or even 2 running backs. And South has a really good misdirection play where they have 3 different options, but the Bartlett line penetrated enough, but I think they got that solved at halftime, and that became a good play for them. And I guess the other thing about the punt return, so you're going against this best defense in the state,
Yeah.
and then you got to get those guys rest sometimes. So you get them a little rest on special teams. The punt that maybe outkick the coverage just a little bit, and then you give up a score on that. That just has to be a huge discouragement to be playing pretty well, shutting them down defensively, and all of a sudden they're on the board on special teams.
Yeah, and I think we talked a lot about the South offense and how impressive they were against the number one ranked defense in the state. And I think you probably talked to John Lewis about this a little bit, Brad, but maybe the South defense was a little slighted and a little underrated because only giving up 3 points. And I know Bart known for putting up a bunch of points. I think they were only averaging right around 16 points per game, but South's defense looked very stout and very sound, and they made it really tough sledding for Bartlett offensively.
Well, we talked about Deuce, who's might be the player of the year, and he's just crazy defensively. And he had a very good game, but he maybe wasn't quite the presence that he's been in previous games. And then, Tyree, he started as a running back, and they tested that service defensive line who just came up with tackle after tackle. Then they split him out and they threw the ball to him, and then even took quarterback for a few plays.
Right.
And then he's the key defender in the defensive backfield, so he really got worn down, and he was player of the game, but it was really hard for him to take so much of the pressure and the responsibility by himself.
Yeah, the quarterback, POTUS, he actually ended up throwing for 117 yards, 11 of 25 for 117. He's only a sophomore, too. So he's a young kid. So Bartlett, gets him for the next 2 years and, maybe just kind of get the wheels going a little bit offensively. And having him in the backfield running the show for a couple of more years could be definitely an asset with some of the other offensive players coming back for the Bartlett Golden Bears as well. South, obviously, they have a terrific running back. He's a junior, Ethan Yarrington, so he's coming back for another season. They have a couple of more weapons coming back, and I'm sure John Lewis, already feeling that he's, ready to go for next year. I mean, he's got a lot of guys that are, itching and ready to go and try to go back to back as they win another state championship in 2025. So congratulations to the South Anchorage Wolverines on their state title run. They finished the season 9-2 over the course of the 2025 season. So an impressive run. Bartlett finishes the regular season at 7-3,
One thing,
including the playoffs. Go ahead, Brett.
one thing for South, you win a championship like that. They're great in the weight room, anyways. But you come off a season like that, you're more encouraged to get in the weight room. John Lewis is one of their track coaches, and you notice when teams are really good at football, they're also really good at track. And even if you're not great at track, if you're out there working out, so I think as well as good players, they have a lot going for them in terms of momentum into next season.
They certainly do, and we'll see if they can carry that momentum going into next year. But hard to believe. It seemed like just yesterday the high school football season got started, and once again it goes by in a whirlwind, and it wraps up just like that. So another high school season in the books. Don't want to fail to mention, however, nine-man football, because that's it's becoming a bigger thing here in the state of Alaska. I mean, it's becoming a little bit more of a popular thing, and I wouldn't be surprised after the success that the Student Wrestlers Development Program, SWDP, the program private school out of Fairbanks, the success they had going undefeated on the year and winning a state title. If that doesn't encourage a few more schools to potentially say, "Hey, can we do nine-man football?" And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, especially in the interior and some schools, maybe I don't know, it might be a little bit financially of a hardship on some schools out of the Southeast, but bringing some of those Southeast football programs back um, as well. But SWDP winning the state title this year over the Seward Seahawks. Uh, Nine-man football is interesting. I've seen nine-man football played at in Oklahoma, and it's completely different because they actually play on a different size field, and
Yep.
so the game is a little bit different than what we have here. We make it happen a little bit differently, so it's modified, um, but it's fast-paced. It's basketball on grass or turf, basically.
Pretty much.
And SWDP, they were impressive year in. It's their first year. Um, Game in and game out. You guys know when they decided to launch this nine-man football team? Like when the idea came about?
I think it was spring last year, if I remember correctly.
It was February of this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, this past spring. And they're like, yeah, we can do it. We can make a football team. And you
Yeah,
do it and you go undefeated.
I think like Huffer is kind of one of those guys. He likes any kind of football, but I'm interested to see it too. The girls play 7-man. Obviously, the largest school plays 11, but there's several advantages to the 9-man. You talk about finances, but it's not like you need 100 helmets. It'd be the least expensive of any program you can get started in, and so I think that speaks positively about Southeast getting involved. And maybe if you're at the bottom of the ladder of some of the bigger schools, hey, why not play 9-man football? And Keaton this weekend, I don't know if you noticed, but there was a graduate of 9-man football that had an amazing game. In fact, he had the most receiving yards of any player in the NFL, and he was a product of 9-man football.
You talking this past week
Yeah,
in the NFL?
yeah.
Who?
Kraft, the tight end for Green
Oh,
Bay.
that's right.
Oh,
Kraft.
okay. Yeah.
He's
That's right.
he's a killer.
Yeah.
It's just getting started after he catches the ball. Nobody even wants to tackle him.
No, that's a good point. I mean, I didn't realize. I know that he went to what, North Dakota State, where he played college football. And I'm not surprised. I mean, North Dakota has a lot of little small towns that have nine-man football. That's another
Yep.
state that has it as well. But I it would be cool to see some of these smaller communities try to maybe rally and pick up this the sport because I think there's only what 5 teams that are doing nine-man football. I think this past year. Does that sound right, Isaiah?
Yeah. It was 4, and then I think was the wrestling development program. I think it's 6 or 5
Okay.
now.
Okay. Yeah. So, but I mean, this is pretty unique. I mean, the other teams that are playing nine-man football, they had football programs prior, right?
Correct.
I mean, like 11-man at
Yes.
some point in time. And now you're this brand new school, this private school. Um, you're building it from the ground up with nothing. Uh, I heard an interview on Alaska Sports Source talking to their coach, their defensive coordinator, saying basically we had nothing. We had no like equipment, like sleds, chutes, anything like that. He said they were using a wrestling dummy as like a practice tackle dummy, essentially to have out on the field. And so you would have these guys that would go do the work on the mat for a little while, and then all right, let's go hit the field and get some football practice in. But a huge shout out to everybody up there with SWDP, the head coach Heath Martin, uh, leading his guys to a state championship, and you got to take some risk. And I think this kind of speaks to wanting to be all right. They took a poll and there's a majority of guys that were like, yeah, let's try to field a football team. And they're like, okay, let's do it and let's figure it out. Uh, they said one of the biggest challenges in that interview was uniforms,
Yep.
like ordering
I
uniforms.
believe it.
So, I mean, so it's kind of a interesting story if you go to our friends over at the Alaska Sports Source and check out the interview. There's some cool about a 4 to 5 minute interview there, kind of giving the background and everything that happened for the Archangels this past season. And I'll be curious to see if they stick with nine man, or if they get more momentum and more people from the school wanting to go to 11 man. I wonder if that talk is already happening, but I don't know how big the school is. Anybody actually know how big the population of
It's less
the
than a
private
hundred.
school?
It's less than 100.
Yeah,
It's definitely on the smaller side. I don't know what the latest enrollment is.
I'm trying to find out here.
Probably try to fill every weight.
Yes, they definitely try to fill every weight class. Very much so.
Well, they're definitely like the size of like a 1A school, right? I mean, if you're looking in terms of like basketball classification, you know.
So Keaton back in the mid 70s when Coach Huffer was coaching GNAC in some of their initial years, they would play 11-man football with about 18 guys. And it doesn't take too long, too many injuries till, you got people on the field. It becomes, kind of dangerous. But if you had 18 or 20 guys in 9-man, it just would probably work out about right.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense. And um, keep things simple, right? I mean, when you have nine-man football, you're not trying to do anything too crazy, too wild, or anything like that. I mean, if the simpler you can keep it, the better it seems. So, uh, head coach Heath Martin, by the way, you guys want to know where he played high school and who he played high school football for? He played here in Alaska. If you had any guess,
I have
Uh,
no idea.
no idea. North
Palmer.
Pole, North Pole.
Uh,
He played for
Oh,
Buck Nystrom in the early 2000s up at North Pole. So he's got a little bit of coaching experience, that's for sure, or at least playing experience to go along with his now coaching experience, uh, leading the SWDP nine-man football program. Um, I would kind of wish that we had an opportunity to see it here, like in the South Central area. I don't know where the closest game would even be. You know, I guess down on the
it's,
peninsula,
it would be the
like
peninsula. It
at
would be the
Seward.
peninsula. Yeah, Seward, Seward, Nikiski. Seward would be the quickest trip.
Right. Yeah.
you
So,
know, ACS, now Mountain City, they used to have a
yeah.
program. And it seems like if the private schools kind of, even if they got a few from each school, they could jump in there 9-man. There's
Ketchikan, they had a football team at one point.
right.
I mean, you
It's
start thinking about all these teams that have folded, this could be an option.
it's just so expensive though. That's I know you're down schools, but a lot of those schools drop football program just because of the sheer cost, especially
Sure.
on the southeast side.
Yeah. No,
That's
you're not wrong. I
that's a
mean,
tough one.
well, and let's see, at one point in time in the Southeast, obviously you still have Juneau, right? You had Thunder
Yeah.
Mountain, you had Ketchikan,
You had
um,
Sitka for a while.
you had Sitka as well. So, I mean, you could start, I mean, Sitka, Ketchikan. I know Thunder Mountain doesn't exist anymore, but um, those two schools could play nine man. Um,
I
you would
think
think,
one
but
of the problems would be it would kind of run in cycles. Like you have a good class coming through, and then all of a sudden, you know, it wouldn't be that smooth if you played for 2 years and then you couldn't field the team, and then you'd come back and you know it's,
That was part of the problem is some of those outlying schools, unless you had a booster club that was really invested by a few parents who are really passionate about football, it ends up going by the wayside. And
yeah,
I mean, that can be said of any program anywhere,
right.
but particularly with football in the Southeast.
Do you think there'd be anybody that's like not on the road system that would ever consider nine man football? I don't know. I mean,
is Barrow on the road system?
uh, technically, no, I guess, but I mean, they're playing 11 man, so
But I do foresee I think that there's a possibility with that, Keaton. You bring
Yeah.
up an interesting point because I do foresee in the future football being tweaked again. And if it goes down to two divisions, that third division is not just an 11-man football, but it would be 9-man. And then you would have to opt up. If you want to play 11-man football, then you're in one of those other two conferences. And
Oh,
if you
I
want,
could see that.
and if you want to be if you still want to play football, then you got to play 9-man. That was an idea floated years and years and years ago, one of my first few years at ASAA, but there wasn't a lot of takers. We had some coaches that are not around anymore and involved with football who really preached against 9-man football and were really avid, detractors of it. Now that that's gained a little bit more acceptance and you see a lot more states doing that, would the temperature for that change? And I think there is some of that
Totally.
possibility.
Yep.
So could football be changed a little bit in the future in 2, 3, 4 years? I could see that. And then would Barrow do a 9-man? Maybe if they got to choose between doing 11-man and being in Soldotna's conference versus 9-man and being with a Houston and some of these other schools that are more similar to their size.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's actually a really valid point. And I know that we've talked about the idea of, you know, D1 and D2 combining because, it seems like anymore a lot of the parity that used to be there is no longer there.
True.
So it would be an interesting conversation to have during the off season to think about bringing those two together, taking Division Three and giving them the option of, all right, if you want to play 11-man football, you're playing up. If you
Exactly.
want to stay D3 or a small school, however you're going to reclassify it, you're going to 9-man. So that would be an option of getting more 9-man teams potentially. Uh,
Well, and,
so
and again, schools are always looking for a way to save money
yeah,
and
yeah,
all that. Well, if you do that, now your conference is going to be a little bit more in line. You're going to be paired with more teams that you are familiar with volleyball and basketball conferences and
right.
things. So it makes a lot of sense. And I think, again, like I said before, the temperature is a little changed now for 9-man football that I think that's a lot more open now than possible. Homer and Barrow that were just an 11-man and D3, could they do 9-man football and still have very successful programs?
Totally,
100%.
totally.
100%.
Yeah,
And have more teams to play. Because right now I think there's only 6 in that conference. So now
yeah.
you
No,
open that, now they go to 9-man. Now you might actually have, you could do two divisions or two conferences in a 9-man. They'd be small, but at least you could start there. So now again, you just have some more flexibility with that. But I don't know how apt that is to change at this point. I think a lot of things have to happen with D1 and D2 football where things get combined to some of the
right.
things that you've said before of, you know, kind of like what it was before. Northern Lights Conference, the CIC, the top two cross over, and there's your
Yeah.
semifinals for state, and then you go from there.
Yep.
Well, it just seems like for a conference or a state championship to be that valid, the number 8 seems reasonable to me. That there should at least be 8 teams in that conference, and maybe not everybody get into the playoffs. Just top 4, so the regular season means stuff. But we've talked about this subject, and we'll probably still come back to it, but it'll require a little finesse and a little more thought put into it.
Yeah, I will. And it'll also take somebody bringing it up. I mean, at the board meeting. So you got to have a rep that wants to,
Well,
kind of,
and it really, to me, it all boils down to, are you going to be able to, and I know some coaches may hate this, but can you convince one or two coaches to really kind of help spearhead this thing? Because that's
yeah,
kind of what shot it out before.
right.
It's originally it was going to be down to 4, and then that got blown up because a lot of the CIC coaches, in fact, every single one of them at the time, just were like, no, we have to have quarterfinals. Everyone has to make the playoffs. I have my own feelings on that where that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But then their retort is, well, football, we don't have a conference tournament. I'm like, well, no, because football is just a little different than all the other sports. You can only play it once a week. It's just
Right.
football's a little different. That's every sport is a little different in some nuances here and there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess you could have like a conference championship game. I mean,
You
take the top
could.
two, right? All right, here you go, top two, and play it that way. But I don't know what the benefit of that would be. I mean,
Well, and the truth is football season in Alaska is so short.
yeah,
That's I know a part of this problem is when we're finishing the state championships, there's usually still a couple weeks left in the regular season down in the states.
yeah, yep, yeah.
Which I know then that's just a challenge we'll never get over unless we had an indoor field, but I can tell you that's not going to be happening anytime soon.
Well, we got the dome. What are you talking
No,
about?
the dome. Just have to
Yeah,
expand it and get some. I know we could sell tickets for a lot more than the regular rate because there would only be so many people that would be allowed in
yeah,
How about
space wise.
how about an auditorium where you get the feed, the NFHS feed, and put up a big screen and create the atmosphere without people sitting on top of each other.
Have to be at West. That's basically the biggest auditorium. Or he is put it in one of the state or put it in the Sullivan or put it in the Alaska Airlines Center and pipe the feed in.
How about
We were
Beartooth?
watching we were
Beartooth.
watching a little bit of Michigan State in the Sullivan Arena while we were waiting for the Wolverines game on the
like on the big
Jumbotron.
board.
Yeah, we were
Nice.
watching it on the Jumbotron for a little bit.
That's cool.
Yeah,
See, that's like that's that kind of stuff, and I'm sure that the Wolverines, when that time frame rolls around, when playoffs and things like that, having, you know, when they're on the road for a playoff game, the opportunity to go in and watch something like that, I think that's pretty cool.
absolutely.
Unique opportunity. But anyway, that's way
Michigan
down the road.
game being up there, that just speaks well of the Wolverine management. That's just my opinion.
Now, I wasn't a huge fan of Michigan State. I wanted to put on a different game, but the truth is I was recording it and wanted to watch it when I got home, so I was okay with it. I was okay
Okay.
with it. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. What game's on this week? Do you know? I might pop on by the Sullivan.
Oh, well, there Wolverines are in Kenai this weekend. So,
Okay, so you're
yeah.
saying the arena's open.
So the arena is
Okay,
open.
perfect.
I'm not sure what's going on in there this weekend. They may have some well, they normally have like little kids skate stuff
Yeah.
going on, practices and other things. So,
Well,
About that drive,
you can have it on while that stuff is going on.
there you go.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go. I'll inquire to see what football game will be playing at the Sullivan Arena during some of the practices.
Dude, this is I think we just opened up a like revenue opportunity here.
Whole new revenue source.
Like
Hey,
Jumbotron, sell tickets, $10 gets you in the
s-
door,
oh, you get it.
it's
We'll have the concessions open. We'll have
there
the
you go.
alcohol going. I'm in.
I'm
I'm
telling you, we
in.
just got
We just solved. That's what we do.
brand new.
We solve issues.
When the Wolverines are away, there you go.
If it's not
Saturday
booked
night,
already, there we go. Done.
Saturday
I
night on
like
the
it.
big screen. I like it. I don't know how we got down that road, but holy cow! All right, we somehow made it there.
Yeah.
Uh, go
Hey,
from nine-man
sometimes those
football
things.
to hockey. And all
Sometimes
right,
those things happen.
they
It's
do.
just the way it
They do.
goes.
Uh, Speaking of high school, kind of segue back to high school. I know that high school volleyball right now is in the late throes of their season. There's only 1 week left in the regular season. And Brad, I think it wraps up next Tuesday, but there's some big matches coming up this week and next week, obviously, to kind of determine some seeding, especially in the Cookie Inlet Conference.
Yeah, I think maybe by the time people are watching this, those last games might be underway, and they'll determine seeding. The coaches will meet and have their end of season meeting, and then it's kind of interesting format for regions. If you're the one or the two, you host the first round of games, and then it'll be 3 versus 8, 4 versus 5. The other teams that weren't one or two, they'll match up and there'll be double headers. But the big advantage of being one or two is you get to play that first round at home and then once that first round game is played, it'll be Service that hosts the rest of the games, and it's what we call Isaiah's favorite, and that's the double elimination tournament.
Ugh. Don't get me started on that. Yeah. I know I'm in the minority on that one with a lot of people, but I see the numbers. I see the numbers.
Okay. Does that mean like the numbers aren't
Well,
Well,
good?
the reason I say that is I see the number. I look at it from both
A
sides of a.
financial, like,
I'm looking at it from the tournament side, all that stuff, but I'm also looking at it from the financial side. And the
gotcha.
truth
Okay.
is, as soon as you went double elimination, the ticket sales took a massive nosedive on that Thursday and especially on that Friday because you lose once, you can still go back through. And I know a special person that listens to this podcast and is has a certain relationship with one of the members of this podcast doesn't agree with me. I know that, but
yeah,
I'm I just once that happened, we just really took a nosedive on the numbers.
yeah. Well, you're talking about state tournament, and
Yep.
hard to argue with you, but to do it at regions, it's not that big of a financial matter, and you're playing it in a school, you don't have that expense, so it makes doesn't
Yeah.
hurt people financially to do it in regions, but I guess like-minded people may differ.
It's
Is that
true.
a is that
It's
something
true.
like Yogi Bear said? Like
No,
that
but
that, that sounds like a yogiism.
Yogi Yogi Bear, you mean Yogi Berra?
Yogi Berra, yeah. Yogi Bear, Yogi Berra. Same guy, I think,
Yogi
actually.
Berra.
Yo
He's
yo
smarter
yo.
than Bear.
Yeah. Volleyball standings so far this year. Diamond and South at the top of the Cook Inlet Conference. Both teams in conference play, only one loss. Each of them 12-1. Diamond with the tiebreaker right now over South. Service and GNAC in the 3 and 4 spots. Eagle Rivers in the number 5 spot. East, West, and Bartlett, the bottom 3 teams in the Cook Inlet Conference. Northern Lights right now, the Soldotna Stars leading that conference. They are 7-1 in conference play. Colony behind them at 5-2. Wasilla in third at 4-3, and Palmer and Kodiak rounding out the Northern Lights Conference. Mid Alaska Conference, the 3 schools up in Fairbanks, Lathrop, West Valley, and North Pole. Lathrop 4-1, West Valley 2-2, North Pole 0-3. And then down in the Southeast, you have 2 schools out of the Southeast Conference. Juneau Douglas Crimson Bears, they are 4-0. Ketchikan 0-4 in conference play. I think you should have a minimum of 3 teams to have a conference. That's another
Uh,
discussion for another day. But
yes.
uh, anyway, so that kind of gets you caught up on the 4A volleyball standings, as Brad mentioned last week of the regular season. Then you'll get into your region conference or conference tournament play, and then before we know it, state championships as well in mid-November. 3A and 4A state championships. I think that's November, I want to say 11, 12 or 12, 13, 14, something like that
For
uh,
volleyball, it's
for volleyball.
13, yeah, 13, 14, 15 of
There we go.
November.
At the Alaska Airlines Center. Yeah. So that 15th, that's going to be a crazy day because I know that there's a UAA men's basketball game that night. Like at 7:30. So
Really?
on the 15th, 100%.
Well, Keaton, I'll tell you this right now. It's going to be late. I warned you.
Oh
We
my
did that
gosh.
volleyball game last year with UAA, UAF, and I said, just be ready. If it goes, I can't control volleyball. If it goes
Yeah.
late, it's going to go late. And
Yeah.
sure enough, we had both games go to if games, and that 7:30 game didn't start until 8.
Yeah, let me look here. Um Oh, they're playing it in the Ox Gym.
Okay, I was going to say because the right now I'm looking at the 3A 4A volleyball
Yeah,
schedule and it says the 4A
it's
volleyball championship is at 4
4.
o'clock.
Yeah. And the Seawolves are hosting the Alaska Hawaii Challenge. So they have Chaminade and UAF and Hawaii Pacific all coming to town.
Oh my word! And they're all going to be playing that in the Aux Gym the whole
And
weekend.
so, well, the tournament starts on Saturday night at
Oh, okay.
5:15. So, and then they'll play on Sunday. So it's a Saturday Sunday, which is it's usually Friday Saturday, but yeah, that'll be a fun Saturday night.
Oh
Visit
man!
Anchorage.
Oh man! Oh man! I wonder.
Visit Anchorage is going to be hopping.
Phew.
Yeah.
That's also Wolverine games that week or that weekend too.
Well, so if you're not doing anything on November 15th, plan ahead. You can catch some
Yeah,
volleyball.
because
You can catch a couple of basketball games as well. So there'll be a lot happening that day.
that's wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Okay. That wasn't something I was all right.
All right. Yeah.
That'll be fun for everybody else. I'm glad I don't have to worry about that.
Well,
I'm not gonna lie.
since we're on the topic of UAA basketball, the men's basketball season does start this week, actually, this Saturday and Sunday. The Seawolves on the road down in Lakeland, Florida. They're taking on Florida Southern and Damon College as well to start the regular season in the Small College Basketball Hall of Fame Classic. That's the tournament they're taking part in. And then the Seawolves come back home to open up on November 7th at the Alaska Airlines Center against Evergreen State. That's the slam dunk into higher education game where all the screaming fifth graders from across the Anchorage School District will
Yeehaw. Keaton's
ascend
favorite
upon.
game.
It actually is cool.
It
I
is
will
a lot of
say it
fun.
is awesome and it is fun. But the amount of screaming at the top of your lungs is unlike anything I've ever heard in my life.
It's
But it's an
loud.
awesome, awesome time. Not only do the kids love it, I feel like the players do too, because it's just like this jam-packed arena of people, and
Absolutely.
it's cool. So,
It really is cool. If you haven't been there to do that, take lunch that day and go check it out. It is a lot of fun. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to bring some
earplugs.
earplugs.
That's not
Yeah,
a
because
joke.
not no joke. Because it is loud. The kids get really into it. Lots of screaming.
Lots of screaming. That game, by the way, 11 o'clock on November 7th. So, like Isaiah said, uh, take lunch, 11 a.m. tip off against Evergreen State. You can get your tickets online a little bit earlier if you like. Go see wolves.com. UAA women's basketball team, they were also going to get their season underway as well. They'll start their regular season a week later than the guys. Next week, they will be at the Alaska Airlines Center on the 7th and 8th as well. So, double headers that night. UAA women playing at 7 o'clock on the 7th. And then on Saturday, November 8th, they'll be playing at 3:15, both games against Northwest University. So that'll be the first chance to see the new look UAA women's basketball team as well.
Yeah, I was able to interview Coach Toon and enjoyed, finding out about his philosophy and some of the things he believes in. He just seems like a tremendous student of the game and a good fit to what they have there. And then interested in watching Elena Mack and some of the, there's players that left, but it's like in Hickory, this is your team, and I think it'd be fun to watch them. And really looking forward to a player like Miley Anderson in her freshman year, and we've seen her a lot with Wasilla playing for Jeannie Hebert, and just see how she stacks up against freshmen don't always get to play that much, but they're going to have to rely on her a little bit this year.
Well, I think
Yep.
also a lot of the fans out there need to have realistic expectations here. I mean,
Yep.
this is not, the Seawolves under Ryan McCarthy, obviously, number one. Number two, it's a complete roster overhaul. Uh, you mentioned you talked to Coach Toon. I talked to Coach Toon earlier on this year as well and had a chance to, kind of ask about his basketball philosophy and things like that. It's going to be a different style. It's going to be different. So what people are used to maybe defensively and some of that kind of stuff, it's going to be different. So Just be ready for change, I guess. Um, but I think it's a good. I think it's good. So uh, we'll have to see how things kind of pan out in terms of their opening game November 7th and see how things kind of shake out. UAA Volleyball also in the throes of their season as well. They have a huge match coming up this Friday, Halloween night. A chance for the grudge match against UAF as they play host to the number 20 team in the nation, the Nanooks, their highest ranking ever in volleyball history for UAF. So they'll come into town. The Nanooks defeated UAA earlier this season up in Fairbanks, so the Seawolves trying to get revenge. And it's a huge game in terms of the GNAC standings. If you just look at the GNAC standings, Simon Fraser, UAF, and Western Washington all tied at 9-2 going into this weekend. Central Washington and UAA. Central Washington is 8-2. UAA is 8-3. The Seawolves are a full game back of Western Washington, UAF, and Simon Fraser. Remember, UAF does hold the tiebreaker by virtue of that win earlier as of right now over UAA. So Simon Fraser, UAA, Western Washington are all ranked teams, by the way, all in the top 25. Central Washington and UAA are all receiving votes to get into the top 25. They're just on the outside looking in. The GNAC conference might be the best conference in Division II volleyball this year. They have been very good, especially those top five teams on the year. The Seawolves coming off of back-to-back wins, although it was a little shaky for them. It took 5 sets this past week against St. Martin's and against Western Oregon as well, but they got the job done on the road to pick up 2 pretty much must-win matches, and now they come back home and they put themselves in a good spot because their next 3 matches are against ranked opponents. They play UAF and then they play Simon Fraser and Western Washington. So
Ooh.
huge matches coming up for UAA. And their 3-game homestand. I would venture to say if UAA was able to win all 3 of them, number one, they would be easily in the top 25. And then
I would
after
think so.
defeating 3 consecutive ranked opponents, they would have a really good chance at postseason play, given how the schedule shakes out down the rest of the season for them. So a huge game on Halloween night. Highly encourage you, by the way, to wear your costume, best costume, get some prizes. So I know Brad's going to dress up. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I got a new wig, which is always something we look for, and then I got new the Christmas pajamas, so it's kind of
Okay.
different.
Oh.
Sure.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Hey,
All right.
Keith.
Yeah.
Oh, I know we're about to wrap up, but my battery's getting low, and I'm actually on my way to my other job as an Uber driver. So
Oh, okay.
if I
Nice.
disappear, I'm making an airport run.
Got it. Sounds good. All right. Well, we won't hold you up there. That's for sure. So, big weekend of sports coming up yet again. It's that time of year, late October, early November, new season starting, other seasons starting to wind down and get into postseason play. So a lot of stuff happening. In terms of high school sports, be sure you check out ASAA365.com. You can stay up to date on all the games and schedules and upcoming tournament information as well. GoSeawolves.com is the place that you want to be to check out anything that deals with the Seawolves. Oh, Brad had to go pick somebody up at the airport. All right.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, go to GoSeawolves.com. Get your tickets. All that kind of stuff. Check out the schedules coming up for men's and women's basketball and UAA volleyball as well. All right. Well, another episode in the books. Be sure you like, subscribe, wherever you get your podcasts. That person that gave us a 1-star review, you've been booted. So just so you know,
You're out.
You're out. We canceled you. You can't cancel us.
I'm not going to lie. I'm curious, Keaton, what you think. Do we think Brad was joking about the Uber?
I don't know.
Or is he really going to be an Uber driver and go to the airport? Because I could go either way on it.
I think he was serious. I think he was dead serious.
I kind of think he was serious too.
Like, Retired school teacher, got nothing to do now, it's a Monday night, slow. I don't know. I mean,
Um, yeah, we're gonna have to do some
can we open
research.
the Uber app and find Brad?
I don't know.
Is
I
like
wonder
I'm
what his
gonna do
screen
that
name would
after.
be.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna look that up. And then what's his Uber ranking?
Yeah,
Like
we could really mess with that, huh?
yeah, yeah. 1 star. What's going on? Anyway, I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah,
We're gonna
well,
let the people know next episode.
let the people know. They want to know. Just
Yeah,
like I was kind of like, wait a second.
we're
I
gonna
could
lead
see
off with
this.
that.
I could see this going both ways.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. Well, we'll find out next episode if Brad actually is an Uber driver. So
Yeah.
we'll let you know. For Isaiah Vreeman, for the Uber driver, Brad Lowers, I'm Keaton Homer signing it off. We'll catch you next week here on Alaska Sports Talk.